We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece.
Today's program is sponsored by the generous support of our patrons. Your support helps to further our historic preservation efforts. For more information, visit patreon.com/1834 Restoration House. Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and checking on the progress of the restoration here at the house. So we are hoping to take this pile of bricks and turn it into a Victorian planter box that goes along the front of the house. But first, we have some digging to do.
We do. We've got to finish this other trench on the outside here.
If you're just joining us for the first time, we unearthed a Victorian water catchment system, which was designed to take the water, send it that way through a pipe, and then get rid of it, to get it away from the house. We unearthed all of this under 8 inches of soil. We didn't even know it was there. So we're attempting to restore it and put everything back the way it was back in the day. I have here a calibrated rake, and I'm measuring the distance between the edge of that brickwork there and where the edge of our trench is supposed to be here. So I just line up my stake, drive it in. What we're doing here is basic calculus, which states that you can make a curve out of straight lines. And the shorter your straight lines are, the more precise the curve is. All the stakes are placed. Now I'm going to put some twine on here and tie it up in a double knot so it doesn't come undone. Here's the problem. So if I attach the twine to the nails, on the inside curve, it's going to want to kind of come in this way and get out of alignment. So what I'm going to do this time is run it around the backside, like that, all the way around. And let it fall. I'm going to come around the back side here and cut off about 6 to 8 inches. And then I'll come wrap around the nail a couple of times, like that. Now that we have our stakes in place, we'll continue that trench all the way around the corner until we get to this point, and then we'll stop and reposition our stakes.
How are you guys?
Morning. Good, good.
How are you?
All right.
Good.
We've been chopping away at this thing for a bit, and it keeps getting lower and lower, but we're having a hard time hitting that elusive target where they're both level. The soil feels drier than it was before, and I think that has something to do with it because it's not cutting quite as deeply and easily as it was. So I'm making another pass here, and maybe if we get lucky, this might be the one. Oh, I just found a big root. So let's get the Sawzall over here and take care of that. Oh, there's more to it. That's V for victory. That's good. That's good. Okay, we're all staked out. Now let's start chopping. I'm trying to keep the width of my trench at about 6 inches. Another old brick. That's why I was never a basketball player. Oh, hey now, there's something down here. Another one. Look at that. I thought we had all of those out. Oh. Here's another one. I don't know where they keep coming from. But you know what's interesting is there was some kind of a hardscape feature here before. And we dug out the bricks. We know there was some here. And we thought there might have been some here, but apparently we're on exactly the same trajectory that the original hardscape took. That's pretty cool. The mystery of our water drainage system here keeps getting deeper and deeper. So I opened up this vent right here and I shined a light in there because I wanted to see if there was a pipe on the other side of this wall where this water is supposed to drain to. And to my surprise, I found a brick wall underneath this porch deck here. It goes all the way across. It got us to thinking maybe this part of the porch right here may have been added later. Now, this house was built in 1900. That was back in the days of horse and buggy, because the automobile really didn't show up until 1915, and probably at the earliest as far as a practical method of conveyance. And, well, okay, maybe they used a horse and buggy through here. We just don't know. But we think that this porch originally stayed straight and went back that way and maybe had a set of stairs maybe right about here. And that maybe this piece here was added on at some point. If that's the case, they did a marvelous job of making it look like it's always been here. So kudos to them if that's what they did. But that brings us back to the question of this drainage. So if there's no pipe back there, that means one of two things. A, the pipe may be buried and we just don't see it. Or B, this V channel that they made of bricks may continue on underneath the porch and pop out the other side. Let's go around and take a look at some stuff. Here's the other side of the porch, and we've shown you this before. Water comes into this catch basin here, and then it goes into a pipe. That pipe goes into the house. Now, this is pretty well choked up, but I'm wondering now if those V bricks over there come over here and pop out in this area. So I'm going to do a little bit of excavation here so you can see. We're seeing this also for the first time. We've never dug in this spot before. So let's get down here and see what we got. What in the world is this? That's weird. It's not a wire. It looks more like a tube. Plastic tube. More mysteries to solve. Well, right away I'm striking something solid. Whatever dirt this is probably just from rotten leaves over the years. Okay, this is a brick, obviously. That is... what is that? Well, I'm just kind of digging away here a little bit. I'll throw some of the soil over here. But there is definitely a hard bottom here. I'm also seeing a lot of paint flakes too, so I'm not sure if somebody scraped the house when they painted it one time or if it's just natural flaking. Okay, that's some kind of a concrete structure. This is a grass root. You just never know what you might find in places like this. So if this is legitimately a water catchment, which I believe it is, then there should be a solid bottom down there somewhere. I just don't know how far deep down is this. But somebody's thrown rubble into it and dirt. Well, so far I haven't hit bottom yet. I will say this, I've got a good bit of solid concrete right here that I'm hitting. And I haven't found the end of it yet, so it's not like it abruptly ends and then there's soil in front of it. I'm not sure how far down I'm going to have to go to find out where this goes. This is pretty incredible. I kind of wish I had a post hole digger. We could make quick work of that. Here's a nail of some sort. Oh, is that a square nail? I think that's a square nail. We'll keep that. Okay, that feels like bottom right there. Yes, that's definitely the bottom. So I don't know if it's brick or if it's concrete, but the bottom is right here. Okay, you guys, that's pretty exciting. So I'm going to ask all of you at home watching, do you want us to clean this thing out and get all the dirt and bricks and get everything out of it and get it clean? Shall we excavate this thing and find out what's down there? Let us know in the comments. Or should we just throw the dirt back in and walk away? This marks a turning point in the project. We dug out the trenches. Now it's time to put a concrete base down. We're only going a few inches, but let me show you how this works. If you've never mixed concrete before, you simply take one of these concrete tubs, pour it in, make yourself a nice volcano, like that. And then the bag calls for, at least this particular bag calls for 2.5 quarts. So we'll put in.
How much do you want?
Put it all in. 1 quart. Yep.
This is 2 quarts.
Yep. So it's 2 quarts, and then we'll go grab another 1/2 quart.
Okay.
And while Jeannie goes to retrieve the other 1/2 quart, I'm taking the prongs because these will go through the material easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start moving things around. And my goal here is just to get the water going into solution. Go ahead and put it right over here on this side because we're a little dry.
Okay.
Perfect. So we'll just continue. This is kind of a rough mix at this point. We want to get the water evenly distributed through the whole thing. Those of you who are longtime viewers will recognize this technique from the 1834 house up in New York. We had a stone foundation up there, and the old mortar was cracked out in a lot of places. So we mixed up our own mortar, using lime, sand, and water. And we did a lot of repair work up there. The secret to making concrete is not to add too much, because there's a certain tipping point where if you add too much, you've gone too far and you can't get it back. Okay, there we go. It's starting to loosen up. We want it to be loose. This is what we got out of one 60-pound bag. So if you've ever lifted 60 pounds, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. The stuff is heavy, but when you lay it out like that, that's probably about 1 inch thick across there, and it'll make a nice little foundation, not too much. Last time we basically mixed up cake batter. I'm going to show you another option that you can use. And this time I'm laying it out smooth, and then I'm going to take the edge of my trowel here and just drag, make a valley, and then I'll make another valley, and then right down the middle I'll make a third valley. And what that enables me to do is distribute the water more evenly up front. So rather than taking a big blob of water and trying to mix it in, we got the locals speeding down the street here. So rather than trying to take a blob of water and mixing it in, we can distribute it ahead of time, and then it's easier to mix. So I'll just pour some in here, and here, and here. And see, it starts to sink in a little bit, so I'll add some more. And I'll add some more. Okay, I'm going to start mixing, and then I'll come back and add the rest. Oh yeah, much better, much better. All right, you guys, we got it done. We put the concrete in both trenches all the way from one end to the other, and the concrete's not very thick. It's probably maybe 1 inch thick. We're not looking to make a warehouse or a bridge or anything like that. We're just putting a little bit of foundation in there for the bricks, and 1 inch of concrete should be plenty for that. And then we'll build on that with mortar and start building brickwork. But before that can happen, this concrete needs to set overnight, and we'll come back in the morning. It should be hard as a rock. And then we'll come out here with the shop vac and clean any dirt that's fallen into it before we get started. And the next time you see us, here a couple of minutes for you guys, hopefully we'll be laying some bricks. We let the concrete sit overnight and cure, and it's looking really good, but we do have a problem where the trench has dirt falling down from the sides. So I'm just going to give it a quick cleanup with the vacuum cleaner. This is the day that we've all been waiting for. We have our bricks, we have our mortar, we have our trenches with a concrete base in them. So now comes the fun part. All right, so we were looking at the mortar, and we think it has about a 1 hour working time. And being just a bit on the conservative side as we are, we'll take a half bag and we'll mix it up, and then we'll start using it. And that way, hopefully we'll get all the way through it before it goes off on us. Remember the plaster? We don't want to have to be in that situation again. So we'll use a half bag, we'll mix it to the proper consistency, and then start laying brick. This is a cement-based mortar, and usually we're preaching historic preservation, but this is simply a brick planter that goes in the front yard. It's going to have to suffer the ravages of weather and everything, so we're going to go ahead and just use regular mortar that has cement in it. And the way we mix that is the same as the concrete. We'll just make a trench, and then make a trench. And so now we've got 3 trenches, and we'll put the water in, and that gives us a more even distribution right up front. We have 2 quarts of water, and we really don't know how much it's going to require yet, so we're just kind of trying to sneak up on it. But I start by taking my dry mix and pushing it into the water, basically trying to bury the water, and that way we get some early hydration. Oops, sorry about that, love.
It's okay.
So they shipped us bags of 80-pound mortar. They're really heavy, and it took 2 of us to move it. We're not as young and fit as we used to be. You know, we work together and try to protect each other's health.
Yes.
It's really coming together now.
This is so exciting.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yes, we are. This is how you tell if your mortar is ready. Put some on the trowel, shake it a little, turn it upside down. Does it stay on? If it does, you're good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just put down a splat here in the corner. Maybe a little more. I'll take my trowel and tap it down in place. All right, so I'm going to drop the mortar in, and then I'm going to take my trowel and just kind of do an S curve on it. Okay, now take a brick, and we're going to butter up the end. Oops. It's customary for the mortar to stay put, but
Dry?
yeah, it seems like it's a little on the dry side.
Let's fix that.
Yeah, we can add a little mortar, but that looks pretty good. So you see how I've done that, kind of built it up. Now we'll just take that, shove it down in place. This first course of bricks, it's not going to be very good looking because I can't get in there and work the joints and make them all pretty. But right now we're just basically making a foundation. So let's keep moving. Get some more mortar down in there. Okay, this is what they call buttering the brick. And we only do this to the end because we've already laid down a bed of mortar in the trench, and I'm just trying to make a kind of a crown there, if you can see that all the way around. Take the brick, bed it down in there, push it in place, and then knock off the excess. So this first layer here, I'm trying to be careful, but not too careful. I mean, it's just a foundational layer, and my space is really limited by the trench. So if I get too much on it, I'm going to start dropping dirt in there, which is a problem. So I'm just trying to keep my hands off as much as possible. All right, so lay down some more. Yeah, I can feel the dirt in the sidewalls come down. What I'm doing is I'm throwing a bunch down in there, and then I take the trowel and I just do like this and make a kind of a valley in it. And that valley gives it the opportunity to crush down in there just a little bit. That way we can adjust the brick. So I'll push it down in there, get it all lined up. Once we get on our second course, we can start trying to get it leveled up and straightened up. And then by the time we hit the ground level, hopefully we'll be flat. Well, that's not the straightest brick lane that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, the trench wasn't very straight, and I kind of had to scoot the bricks a little bit crooked to get them laid down in there without having to stop and redo all the trenching, and I don't want to do that. So our bottom course is going to be a little bit crooked. We'll make up for it as we go up, and as we hit the top, towards the top of the soil line, we should be in pretty good shape. Jeannie was just asking, how do you lay square bricks around a curve? And the answer is, you just do it. When you get to a corner, your bricks are small enough that they will make the curve just fine. If you look at the wall behind me, you can actually see a good example of that. Those are full-size bricks, and somehow they managed to make the corner just fine. And that's what I'm doing right here, right now, just laying them in. And each one angles a little bit more than the last. I'm starting to see the flaws of some of our concrete work there as the elevation goes up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but we'll make it work.
I think the other side will go better because we will know ahead of time that it does need to be a little wider, it does need to be sharper.
What I was doing there just now was trying to bed the brick down in the mortar. Helps to kind of squish it down in, which makes it bond better and also makes it level. So as we hit the next course, we'll be doing a lot more leveling, and so that'll be, you'll be seeing a lot more of that where we try to just tap them in place. These modern bricks, they're so slick that the mortar just wants to fall right off, at least at first. And after a few seconds, it does grip. But I butter the brick up over the tray so we don't lose as much mortar. All right, that's going really well. I have the mortar on my trowel, and I'm just going to throw it down in there, right on top of the concrete that we poured yesterday. Now, normally, you would take the trowel and do a kind of a S-curve as you go down the line, but I don't have enough room without disturbing the soil and making it fall. So I'm just simply going to just put a nice herringbone type of pattern there. The goal is to have a trough down the middle and then have the sides raised up as mountains. All right? Now, the reason I do that is because when I push that down, it has some airspace for the mortar to collapse into. And ultimately, we want some of that mortar in the holes here to provide extra strength. So now, I'm going to butter the brick like this. What I'm doing is I'm making a crown on there, like that. And the reason I do it in that shape is because when I push it in, it's going to want to spread out. And if I buttered the brick completely fully and I pushed on it, there'd be no place for that mortar to go. This gives it some space to squeeze out. So don't try to just put the brick in place and then shove mortar down there between them. Butter it up like this, put it in place, push it together, and see how the mortar squeezes out like that. And then we'll tap it down, tap it like that. Now we have good squeeze out. Oops, I got dirt on there. We have good squeeze out and a good mortar joint. Man, is this exciting. Look, we got 2 rows of bricks coming all the way over here, right around the corner, and headed over there to the front porch. That is good stuff. So we're going to mix up another batch, and we'll get busy laying some more bricks and finish this up. I've been working with this for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes now, and I'm just working the mortar just to keep it loose. We don't want the stuff to go off on us and get hard, so I'm giving it a little bit of a workout. All right, here we go. Drop some mortar in the trench, maybe a little more. Lay down a good chevron pattern, and then butter the brick. Set it in place. Give it a couple of taps. Scrape off the excess. Rinse and repeat. Now see how the mortar is squeezed out right there? That's textbook perfect. Well, it's been a long day, and we had several interruptions. We got the bricks down all the way, 2 lines, and we were able to get all the way up to this wall right here. And that's not all, because if you come this way, we also managed to start the second course from this end going back. So rather than going one line around and then coming back the other line, I'm starting to run them together, and that's kind of in preparation of having to level them up. We're not yet to the point of using levels and strings yet because we're not above the soil. But we're going ahead and just kind of eyeballing things and doing the best we can to straighten this out and make it better. But on the next course, I think we'll start to be able to do that. So that's pretty exciting.
Isn't this exciting? We've used quite a few bricks already.
We have. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have enough here to do the whole thing.
I don't know either.
See, we bought 1,000 bricks. We thought, we'll never use all those bricks. But now I'm really starting to question whether we have to go back and get some more.
We might need another pallet for the other side.
Definitely. Well, hopefully we'll have enough to finish this one side at least. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. Thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.